Welcome back, James Harnsberger, Wealth by Design. Again, go down, subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on Facebook, go to my page, jamesharnsberger.com. Go down to the bottom, opt in for the updates and notifications. Okay, I am so excited because second segment here, we've got Tina Dixon. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get deep in the weeds. Okay. And the way I want to take this approach, because everybody's a little bit different, is I want to cast maybe a wide net and then start kind of pulling it in so that when we get it sort of at the end of this segment, we've come up with 2 or 3 things that are very, very specific that are unique to you. The only human being on the planet that these things will be unique to, because this is really about how you go about designing and getting the clarity. It's sort of like the analogy of going on vacation. Generally, going on vacation is you have a destination in mind.
Yes.
It's usually a good idea to know where you're going, right?
Absolutely.
And then you figure out how to get there. Do I walk? Do I drive? Do I take a horse? Do I fly? Whatever. And oftentimes when it comes to money, oftentimes when it comes to wealth, I think the biggest, most important part that we miss is defining where is there.
Yes.
And we get stuck like the hamster on the wheel. There's a lot of motion, but nobody's going anywhere. Just and then you got a tired dead hamster, right? So we don't want to be a dead hamster. So what we're going to do is just recap the frustration. And certainly I agree. I think COVID did a lot to just ramp up the anxiety on every level.
Yes.
I know it did for me,
Absolutely.
and I think that it's done that for a lot of people. And hopefully we're turning the corner on that, and hopefully we'll get to this next step. But life has to go on at some level. And we still have to pay bills. We still have to go to work. We have to provide for our family. But I don't think that we want to be the hamster on the wheel. I think everybody, a part of our heart and soul, really is anchored in that bigger step that we see that part of our life. And what happens is we then compare that to where we're at and we shrink down those dreams to little teeny things, right?
Yes.
And make that fit around wherever we're at financially instead of flipping that around.
Yes.
So I want to get deep in the weeds on this. Let's start with this. If you had the ability to say, these are 3 things I need the most to learn how this would work for me, what would 3 things be that you would need the most in terms of resource or ideas or material, or I mean, just 3 things that you would need the most to start figuring this out? What would those 3 things be?
I would definitely need um, representation, someone who has experience.
Okay.
So the mentorship is appropriate.
Okay.
I would need resources. Well, I would need a map.
A map. I love
I
that.
would need a map.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
need a map because I don't know what the design is.
Okay.
So I would like a step-by-step plan that can help me see what that design is
Okay.
supposed to be.
Cool.
And 3, resources to create the design.
Okay. Perfect. Now, if I told you, this is a blank sheet of paper, If I told you that your design for your financial life, Wealth by Design, starts with a blank slate, right? And you get to draw a box. On that blank slate, and there's your box on the blank slate. And your financial life and your Wealth by Design starts with you putting in the box everything that you desire, that you can think of, that is important to you. If I told you that the process is no more complicated than that and it would transform your life, what would you think?
Okay, let's start.
Okay, let's start.
That's what I'm
Love
saying.
it. There are a few steps.
Yes, sir.
There are a few steps. So let's write this down. Resources,
Yes.
mentor, that was first. Resources,
Mapping.
and then a map. And I love that you use the word map because that's actually what we talk about in Wealth by Design. What we're doing is we're mapping out the journey day by day. We're mapping out the journey week by week, month by month, year by year. And I think one of the conditions of human beings being human is that, well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a situation where you wanted to do something or wanted something and then you got impatient about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times.
Many times. And that impatience isn't so much that that's what we want and we don't have it. The impatience, I think, comes from we don't know how or what the next step is to get it. Would that be a
Correct.
true statement?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, with that said, taking the three things, mentor, resource, and map, describe how that would look. In other words, if you had that, just tell me you get up in the morning, you do your morning routine. What would it look like to have a mentor, to have the resource available, and to have the ability to create the map? What would that look like? What would that feel like?
Empowering.
Okay.
And it would feel, uh, it would have a value that I really can't put a dollar on.
Okay.
Need to focus on that.
Okay.
So, what has my mentor planned out for me for this particular day? What is my goal?
Okay.
And prioritize that goal according to what's currently occurring. Because day to day, there's so many shifts, hour to hour, there's so many shifts in what's going on. So stick close to people who are looking closely at what's occurring economically,
Right.
and help reroute me if I need to be
Okay.
rerouted.
Okay.
Because I mean, I'm not here, so I will not see it,
Helping
So
you with that direction.
yes, absolutely. So having a direction certainly would be, this is phenomenal, because I did notice that, let me use social media for an example.
Yeah.
Because on my quest on this journey in 2020, I didn't know which way to go. And there were so many apps. Join this app and join that app and invest this and your change goes here and this goes here. And then this person will say, oh, I can help you get such a small business and da-da-da. And all of these different avenues. But in this, they're actually starting to reveal a lot about economics now, more than ever before. And that's what I've been noticing on media. So a lot of things are being revealed. However, we always know that foundations cannot always, when we don't have trust.
Right.
And why should I trust this gentleman across a platform?
Right.
Or over a phone? So I think that when you have this type of relationship with someone directly, this is really helping you build in so many ways. It's a personal touch. It's designed directly for me. And so I need to run with it like my life depends on it.
Perfect. Perfect.
And that's how I really feel like.
What if the situation were just a little bit of a tweak on it, and instead of the mentor mapping out where you go, you tell the mentor, this is where I'm going to be, and then show me how I get there?
I like that better.
Yeah. See, because here's the thing, you said it. This is empowering. And so no mentor should be telling anybody where to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, where do you want to be in a month? Where do you want to be in 3 months? Where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be in 9 months? And where do you want to be in 12 months? And how can we measure that to make sure you're getting there? My only job is to remind you, maybe we're not going to get there so fast because we're going off on, we made a right turn on Elm Street.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. So I guess it's still part of the old thinking that I may have.
Yeah.
That I'm just like conditioned to still want somebody to lead
Tell me what to do and I'll go do that. What if you said, I'm going here, show me how I get there?
I think that has power.
Yeah, that's a lot of power
That
because
is
you
really
should have all the power. That's my point. And that's what makes this different. That's what is transformational about this whole program, is because you get to decide the outcome.
If this could
See,
happen for someone like me, this could really inspire so many people
I
who are
know,
lost.
I
Like I
know.
really just am so amazed by this opportunity because the
Wants to
people.
make me get up and do the happy dance.
Yes, but in seriousness, there are people. Like I said, I'm from the East Coast, and there are a lot of people on the East Coast that I just have no idea. They're
Right,
stuck in these deserts,
right.
and it's gonna get worse.
Gonna get worse. Yeah.
Right? So if people see me following a model and it being an example, then I could be an example for
Think of how
someone
many
else.
thousands of people you could inspire, not by anything I do, by what you do.
Yes.
Yeah. And that in some way is allowing you to pay it forward also. When we help each other,
Yes.
that's really powerful. That's really powerful. So the job is not to tell you or map out, well, looking at your financial statement, I think you should buy General Electric, Ford, and Treasury bond. That is such bullshit,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I mean, I'm going to just be blunt. That's
We already
bullshit.
know that.
That
Yep.
used to work 30, 40 years ago, right?
Yes.
We're in the 21st century. We're sneaking up on the 22nd century here pretty quick.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way anymore. Things have changed radically, okay? Better for me to say, Tina, where do you and Ulysses want to be in 3 months? Where do you want to be in 6 months? And find a way that we can measure that financially, economically, however you want to measure it. Where do you want to be? And then you tell me where you want to be. And what if I showed you the resources inside that will show you how to get there, how to know you're there so you can make the next step to go to the next place? And oh, by the way, what if we had a support network where you can call me, I can talk to you, I can put you in touch with other advisors, they'll talk to you. They're not going to charge you for that. They're going to help you get there. People are thinking, well, how do you make money? Well, it's real simple. At some point, when you want to take advantage of some of the more advanced programs, there's a small fee. That's fine.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is build a community first. The money
Yes.
will take care of itself.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So let me talk about outcomes. And I distinguish outcomes from goals. What I've learned many, many years ago, that every time I set a goal, it was amazing how I rarely ever achieved the goal. And I look at goals as a way to set yourself up, sort of to give yourself permission as an excuse not to do it. Because, well, I said maybe my goal was too high, right?
Yes.
I've had that conversation.
Yes.
That's that little thing in my brain lying to me all the time. Well, you don't need to do it. You set your goal too high. You should set lower goals. So I got rid of the word goals and I started working with a different word called outcome, because an outcome was something that I could define. It had clarity.
Yes.
In 12 months, I will be here. And I define here this way. And then I just write those things down. And what I learned was a technique, and it's in this program. I learned to define there and then work back, sort of reverse engineer
Oh.
the steps backwards, like I'm taking it apart.
Yes.
And I'm here today, starting today. So my map, let's to use your word, my map,
Yes.
I already had the ability to create the map. Just needed somebody to show me how it worked.
But it seemed like you may need a team because when you go
You
backwards,
do.
that sounds like really overwhelming to start back.
It can be, but what if it's just a couple of steps each month? What if it's just a couple of, let me ask you a question. In the average week of Tina's life, do you have 90 minutes that you could rearrange that would focus on your financial destiny?
I have 90 minutes every day. If that's what you
Okay,
need.
all right. If we only needed it once a week,
That's fine.
all right, good. And then once a month, do you have at least one more 60-minute period of time where once a month we could go down, let's call it a scorecard,
Yes.
and see, since we're playing this game every day, at the end of the month, we're going to check the score and see where we're at on the scorecard.
Really?
1
That's
hour.
so great.
Yeah. Do you have 1
Really?
hour?
Absolutely.
Month?
I have an hour.
All right, good. Then if you have that time once a week, and if you have that time once a month, you already have 75% of what you need to succeed.
Time?
Yeah, time. See, here's what wealthy people learned. And here's what rich people learned before they became wealthy. This is what I learned with my mentor. Time is money.
It is.
Yeah.
I learned that in
Because
school,
if you gave me the choice between having unlimited time in my life or unlimited money, I'm taking time because I have all the time. It's unlimited. I'll make all the money.
Right.
You give
But
me
you can give me
time.
money and I don't have time.
When you
then.
get to my age, you realize you're on the other side
Yes.
of time.
Yes, we
right?
are.
And at some point, we don't want to be stuck like that hamster, the dead hamster on the wheel, right? We don't want to be stuck making up for lost time.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Right
and
now.
And that's a feeling that we all get. So I want to flip that, and I want to suggest that there's no such thing as making up for lost time, because I won't get into the physics of how it works, but I will tell you that everything that we've done, every experience that we've had, has led to the moment that we're in right now.
Yes.
And so nothing has been wasted. No experience is good or bad. You did the best you could with what you had at the time that you did what you did.
Yes.
Maybe you needed more resource. Maybe you needed more help. Maybe you needed to ask different questions. It's a learning process.
Yes.
You know, every human being when they're born doesn't come with an instruction book, right? We just got to figure it out. The part that I think is the most valuable is this is how it works. And the power that you have to define and design your financial life is really empowering. You get to, look, you get to choose what you put in the box.
I know some wonderful things I would like to put in that
Yeah.
box. Right?
Yeah. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. All right, let's kind of bring this full circle. Let me ask you a situation and then just tell me your first reaction, how you would look at that situation. If you were sitting down, and let's just say it's any normal day in your routine, and you had the opportunity to devote, let's say, 30 minutes in the morning and say 30 minutes in the evening, and in that 30 minutes, you got or were able to get one part of a piece for that week and how it worked, could you find 30 minutes in the morning and could you find 30 minutes in the evening to do that?
Yes.
What would be one thing that you'd want to start with first? What subject would you want to start with first that's most important to you right now? Again, you get to put anything you want in the box. So if it's anything that you want to learn how it works, what would it be?
Transfer money.
The transfer?
The transfer. Mm-hmm.
Transfer
Of money to more to have an intrinsic value,
and to have value.
like real value.
Okay. One thing I learned a long time ago, and we apply this in our practice, we apply this in our life. Susan and I sort of live that model. We believe in the proposition of giving more use value than we ever expect in fee value. In other words, whatever I give a client, I can solve a tax problem any day of the week. I've been doing it my whole life, right?
Yes.
That's not use value. That's transaction. I have a problem, you need to solve it, blah, blah, blah. Use value is giving you knowledge, wisdom, and showing how empowering you can be where you never had the problem to begin with.
You, I believe, started that foundation of that with us during the whole beginning of the pandemic. Right. And even though, it could have just been, okay, they're paying their fees, I'm getting them out of, the situation. But every Saturday you held a call and you stayed in communication with us on the emails, and then you always had a Q&A, and that was very consistent. And at first I didn't understand, like, why they okay. And then the more I listened, I saw there were different dynamics, this diversity of people on the call from different backgrounds of life. And then I started to question, wow, okay, how did I get on the call with these people? I
Right.
did think that. I just
Right.
never really said anything, but I did realize who I was on the calls with.
Right.
So respectfully, I just listened in many Saturdays, and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
Because I did learn some things that I was not hearing in mainstream.
Right. And so that really laid the foundation for where we are today. And that's an example of giving more use value. The Bible talks about, and I'm not going to get religious, but
Yes.
the Bible talks about give a man a fish or teach him to fish and feed him for life, right?
Right.
So that's a philosophy that we can apply whether we're religious or believe in God or Buddha or Muhammad or whoever,
whatever.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a human philosophy, right? It's better to teach a person to fish than it is to just give them fish. And so what Wealth by Design is empowering is you get to learn as fast as you want, as much as you want, when you want. You're in charge. All I'm here to remind you is you have a birthright. You live in a free country. You have the freedom and liberty to do whatever the hell you want to do. Hard stop. You want to run a traffic light, run the traffic light. Now, there might be a consequence to getting a ticket, right? But we're adults. We don't need the government or mommies and daddies telling us what to
No.
do. We can do whatever the hell we want, right?
Correct.
When it comes to money, there's a science to it because money only will go where it's treated best. Money only goes where it's treated best. California and New York are learning this because hundreds of thousands of people are moving out of those states.
Yes.
Because the money those people have is not being treated well.
No, it's not.
I'm not saying that the governor's good or bad. I don't care.
No.
I'm indifferent. Doesn't
right.
matter. The policies aren't working for a lot of people that had money, and so their money's not being treated well. So it's going to go somewhere where it will be treated better. Your money works the same way. So if you could learn a different way to treat the money, maybe it sticks around and protects you a little bit more.
As opposed to just...
It's a choice. We have a choice in everything. We have a choice in everything,
Yes, we do.
right?
Yes, we do.
We have a choice to design a life of wealth, to define a life, financial life, that says it's my birthright. I will be responsible for my choices, but I need this. I need to know how it works. And that's all we've done. All we've done is taken and put together how all these things work.
That's amazing.
And then you can decide how big your box wants to be. Don't shrink your box down. Why would you do that? Make your income bigger to have more dreams.
I agree.
Making money is the easiest thing in the world. I learned that when I was 13. Keeping money and accumulating abundance and wealth and those things, that's different. And so that's the philosophy. So let me ask you a final question before we wrap up this segment. If there were two things financially that you had the most concern about, good or bad, doesn't matter however you want to label them, what would those two things today, as you sit here today, what would those two things be?
Loss of the illusionary tangible assets I think I have.
Loss of assets.
And not being in a place that is agriculturally healthy for me to grow and help the community grow foods.
Your environment.
Yes.
Okay.
So my environment is very important at this time.
That's good. Now let me explain something that I think we all know, but maybe just need a little clarity. as human beings being human, we have all these different aspects to our life, right? We have emotional aspects.
Yes.
We have our environment. We have our health,
Yes.
right? We have our finance. That's an aspect. We have our relationships. We have our
Yes.
friendships. We might have our marriage. These are all different aspects of human beings being human, right?
Yes.
So the only aspect that I work on is in the financial aspects. All things dealing with finance, money, if it has to do with money and financial aspects, that's what we do, wealth by design. You can also have wealth by health. You can also have, because wealth
Yes.
is defined different ways. So if you had more financial freedom, because that's really what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes.
Financial freedom,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I want to get off the wheel.
Yeah, get off the wheel and don't be a dead
Tired.
hamster. Then you have more choices to create the environment that you want,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Because really what we're talking about here is financial freedom.
Yes.
We don't want to be the dead hamster on the wheel, right?
No.
So really
So-
what we've created is the ability for you to define what financial freedom is. Financial freedom is you don't have to have the concern of a loss of assets because you've got that all covered. Financial freedom means you can pick and choose and design the kind of environment.
So those would be my two top priorities. 'Cause
Okay.
everything else could come into fruition by design.
By design.
Okay.
How you want to design it. And so what we're going to do in the last segment as we get ready to wrap up here, I'm going to show you one thing about how that works, and then I'm going to make a deal for you. And the deal is more than just the deal. The deal is the commitment, because I absolutely guarantee, if you just follow 2 or 3 basic principles,
Yes.
okay, everything else sort of falls in place. It's really where we put our energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really where we aim our focus. If I had an arrow and a bow and I wanted to shoot over there, I wouldn't be aiming here.
Absolutely.
So all I'm going to do is show you how to true your aim a little bit.
I like that concept.
Right? You get to decide where the target is.
Okay.
You tell me where the target is and I'll show you how to true your aim. That's what wealth by design is going to do. Give you clarity.
This is so different than anything I've ever heard of before.
It's totally
and
cool.
This is not scripted, I'm telling you.
That's why I wanted you on the show. Yes, absolutely.
Wow, this
All
is
right.
so enormous. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. James Harnsberger, Wealth by Design. Go down. Follow me on my YouTube. Go to my Facebook. Go to my page, jamesharnsberger.com. Opt in so you get the notifications. We're going to come back on the third segment. We're going to bring this all home, put some real meat on the bone, if you will. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay out a plan, and we're going to absolutely rock your world and show you how this works. James Harnsberger, Wealth by Design. Thank you.